Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all, depending on which time zone you live in. This is your host Vaibhav, and I welcome all of you to today's session of JForex Indicator Explained, where we will be considering one interesting indicator. And as we are considering moving averages so far, I am going to use one of the derivative of the moving average, and this is a well-known indicator, Bollinger Bands. So we will consider how we can take the Bollinger Bands into account and use this trading indicator provided on the JForex platform to look for the trading opportunities where we can go with the trend and also with the contra trend trade setups. So both these things can be achieved when we are relying on the Bollinger Bands to help us guide the market developments, and no matter the turbulence or if there is not much of an volatility even in both these scenarios, the Bollinger Band is a helpful tool, and we will see how we can best use it on these platforms. So now we head to the JForex platform, which has been developed by the Dukascopy Bank SA. Here you will find these indicators listed amongst the overlap studies. We have considered many indicators amongst the overlap studies so far, and now it is turn of the Bollinger Band. So this you will find here, and you can add it from this option, or you can simply do a quick search. So here you type in the Bollinger Band, and we have all these types of Bollinger Bands. So we will consider these types of Bollinger Bands in coming session. Today we will consider the basic formation. So this is the original Bollinger Band, and from its first sight you can guess that when there is a significant price volatility in either direction, the Bollinger Bands expand, and when the price moves are not really volatile and rather stagnant, we see these trend following system contracting, where we see the price action concentrating closer to this middle band, and the upper band and lower band contract together and they come together here. So we have this formation in place where we can go with the trend. If we see that the middle band is rising, then it is better to keep looking for buying opportunity. If the middle band is in decline, then it is better to look for short sale opportunities. And this middle band is nothing but the EMA which we have chosen here. You can change the MA type. We have to specify one of the moving average, and depending on that, this Bollinger Band will be plotted while taking into consideration standard deviation on both sides of these EMA or SMA or whichever moving average you go for. So this is a simple setup, and these standard deviation lines help us in looking for overbought, oversold scenarios. And if we see that the significant price move has already happened and it has gone on to touch the price deviation from these middle band, then if you don't really want to take the contra trend, then at least you can wait it for the consolidation to happen, and it should correct somewhat to some extent and come back. The price should decline, and this price action and the moving average should catch up, and after that consolidation we can again start looking for fresh trading opportunities whenever there is a breakout in the same direction. So we can use this Bollinger Band in multiple ways, and as I said, this is simply the moving average, so we can use this middle band as a guiding light, and then to gauge the market sentiments, if the price action is strong, or if it is simply trading in the range, we can consider these standard deviation lines, the upper band and the lower band. And if the price has traded in a narrow range for quite a long, then we will see this contraction happening. So this is an indication that big price move is likely to happen, and it might happen in either direction. This upper band and lower band doesn't really tell anything about it. For that, you will have to consider the price action so far and the direction of these middle band, and then take the trade accordingly in whichever side the breakout happens, if we consider the middle band as the support or resistance zone, and if we see the breakout for the underlying instrument, in this case Euro USD on the lower side, if it goes on to close below this middle band, then I think we can go for short selling opportunities, provided that this change is also happening in the direction of the middle band. And if that is not the case, and if the price action dips and then comes back and again closes above this middle band, and the middle band, that is the EMA or any moving average type, is simply in increasing tendency, then it is better to look for buy trade. And reverse condition is also going to be true for short sale opportunities if we consider these price moves where we have the moving average in a declining phase, and then after due consolidation, these correction happens, and we again see some sort of fresh breakout happening in the transaction, then we can go for fresh shorting opportunities. So we can take a look on these upper band and lower band, and if these have contracted a lot, and then that will be the case that consolidation has already happened, and now that fresh breakout is happening on this lower side, this might be the turn to take a fresh leg, fresh look for new trades. So similar thing can be considered here also, but we have here the price action consolidating closer to this middle band, where we have these hourly candle closes both above and below this price action. So in this case, you will have to rely on this prior trend and also the direction of these moving average, and then in that scenario you will find it more useful to keep looking for shorting opportunities and not go for long trade, even if there is this sustained price consolidation closer to this middle band. And one more way to make use of these Bollinger Bands is to look for deviation. If there has been significant deviation and now the price action is again consolidating and trying to reverse inside these Bollinger Bands, then that is also an opportunity to go short or go long. And these are going to be contra trend trades. So here we have these significant deviation, and then again the price action comes back to close below these upper band. So this can be the sign that the strong move is now subsiding, and this might be going into a consolidation phase. So it is better to look for the contra trend trade, and some sort of retracement or some sort of correction is expected, so we can go for scalping kind of opportunities when we see these kind of formations. Of course, sometimes what happens is that even after these significant move on the higher side, and then again the reversal sort of formation taking place, the price action reverses course and continues to rise again and again, and sometimes it doesn't really stop, and you might have a problem on your hand if you continue to go with the contra trend trades regardless of these sustained rise. So this kind of formation can also take place. Here we don't really see any significant correction. The price goes on to touch this higher band and then it corrects somewhat, but it doesn't really dip. And even if you were to short it, you won't really have any significant profit. And again, it reverses course and continues to rise. So this kind of scenarios have also to be kept in mind, and some sort of remedial measures taken into consideration. So all these factors have to be kept in mind while using these Bollinger Bands. Now let's see what more we can do. We will consider some customization options to make this Bollinger Band setup interesting. And now here we have this applied price. Okay, so the applied price is the close price for this Euro USD hourly time frame. And if we change this applied price to close price, open price, high price, low price, median price, typical price, weighted close price. So all these options are there. Depending on that, you will have this setup changing we have to try it out. We can go for the open price, high price. So if we use the high price, then this Bollinger Band shifts on the higher side. If we go for the low price, then the Bollinger Band shifts on the lower side. Median price is simply the half of high plus low. So we have to keep these things in mind. All right, weighted close price. Now coming to this other input options, we can the candle period which are being considered while calculating these Bollinger Bands. So if you want to use higher time frame data, then all you have to do is increase these time period. And now that we are using these 50 hours of candle data, 50 candle period data, which is 50 hours of data, as we have candle period defined at hourly. So we have a lot more smoothing in these middle band, and similarly, we have this smoothing in these upper band and lower band, which are simply the standard deviation distance added and subtracted from these middle band. So accordingly, these two lines, the upper line and the lower line, gets plotted. And now that we have smoother middle band, it is natural that these curves are also a lot more smoother. But the basic functionality remains the same. Here we will have this contraction and expansion taking place depending on the price volatility, and the trend is now being derived using the larger time frame data, so it will become less responsive to immediate price fluctuations. But apart from that, not much changes. So now again we go to the editing options. So here, if you want to again reduce it, you can reduce that. You can even make it 10, where it will follow pretty closely, follow the price action pretty closely, but it is not really going to be much helpful. So you have to go for a candle period, which will give you a good idea of what the trend is. Okay. Now, coming to other factors, the standard deviation can also be increased or decreased. So this is the I will try one. Okay. This is the standard deviation up, this is standard deviation down. Now you will see this band has contracted, but the basic functionality of expansion and contraction is simply as it is. All right. And if you want, you can increase it also. So whatever customization option gives you a best idea of these market sentiments, I think that should be the best option for you. So we have to personalize these tools, personalize these indicators given to us. So I will now restore it back to the default setup. Okay. And coming to the moving average type, depending on the moving average type, you will have the plotting of these Bollinger Bands changing a lot. Now, if I go for the WMA, here it has shifted somewhat. Let us try these all these different types of moving averages one by one, and please pay attention to these plotting of the Bollinger Bands. All right. So this is DMA, this is TMA, this is Trima. So we have a lot more smoothing when we are relying on these Trima. Okay. Standard deviation. Now coming to these moving averages. Is the KAMA. So you can try out all these options one by one. MAMA, this moving average gets plotted in a manner of stairwell. So we have these zigzag kind of line. It is not a straight smooth line. Coming to T3, in case of T3, you have a lot more smoothing and a simple straight line drawn. This is the HMA, Hull moving average. This is LWMA, this is SMMA. So all these options are there. So you can try out, and whatever serves your purpose, that should be the option you should stick with. Now we look for these some fancy options here. We can tinker around with this color combination. We can change the styles of these bands. So let us try three different styles for these three different lines. All right, we increase the width. We also play around with some lower transparency option. So these things will not take too much attention. So this is how the Bollinger Band is now looking as I have made changes in its output plotting options. Okay, now coming to the levels and some advanced options. If you want the recalculation of these three values, the lower band, upper band, and the middle band, to be done only when the new candle formation takes place, you have to check this box, and only then the new value will be defined and it will remain constant for whole of the candle period. All right, then if you want the time period which is under consideration for the calculation to be highlighted, you can choose that option and it will be highlighted. Now coming to this advanced calculation from custom data option. So if you want the calculation to be customized for your instrument, candle period or side, you can have these options given to you and you can keep it fixed. So all these options from 10 seconds to 1 month are there for the candle period, and for spread side you can go for the ask or bid. All right, if we uncheck this box, then we have to specify on which candle period the plotting should be done and on which candle period it should not be done. So you simply have to check this box and only on that candle period the plotting of the indicator will be done. Then the base period option, we have these four options from which you can choose a best period for this plotting of the chart. Okay, so these are the customization options, and I have tried to explain to you some classical interpretation of this Bollinger Band and also how we can make editing in its values, the input values. Then we get different types of output values depending on the combination we have opted for. So I would suggest that you try it out on your own and you will get a better idea if you try it out and try to see how it reacts in the live market. And once you get used to it, you will be in a position to take informed trading decisions with the help of this tool of Bollinger Band, and that is the whole purpose of this session. So that's it from my side for today's session. If you have any query or any idea to share, you can write to me in the feedback section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. For further coverage of the market developments, do check out the Dukascopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there too. The link for this platform has also been included in the bio, so do check out. Thank you all for joining in. I will be back tomorrow with a new indicator and its uses. Till then, have a fabulous time ahead. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.